Hello everyone, my name is Apocalypsis. I'm back with another video. This time I want to cover my final thoughts on the MSQ overall. Haven't completed it at this time, so last time when I did the final video, I was only through level 99 MSQs. So now I've completed it, so I want to cover that, and then I also want to go over the comments review. So let's get this started. All right, so I basically do, like I mentioned in the other video, I do content in Spanish and I want to focus in Spanish, and I do that for two reasons. One, I'm more comfortable speaking Spanish, so it's just, just better for me overall. And then two, I think there's a lack of, inclusion of the Spanish speaking community within Final Fantasy XIV. We have the English, Japanese, German, and French versions that you can choose from, the voice acting and everything like that, and the UIs, but nothing Spanish. And it's surprising because Spanish is actually, bigger than French and German. Not to take away anything from those communities. I think they should continue to have, that access to the game. But I also know that there's a huge Spanish community within Final Fantasy XIV across, America and Europe. So I just want to continue to make an emphasis to see if there can be a push to one day have more Spanish content or Spanish opportunities within Final Fantasy XIV. And within this review, there will be spoilers in this review. So in the last video, I just did a quick, overall without touching any spoilers. But in this review, I will be getting into spoilers and covering some specific details about the story. So if you have yet to finish this story, do not watch this video, or you can come back to it later if you want to. Just real quick, I do want to mention that last video, thanks to everyone for watching, and thanks to everyone who left a comment. I enjoyed and I thought it was fun reading through every comment. I sincerely, well, two things. One, I did not think that anyone was going to watch this video, right? Most of the videos that I've posted have had 1, 2, 3 views, so I just posted. I did not expect that anyone was going to watch. And then two, I thought if they're be more toxic within the comments, but I thought they were fantastic. There were some borderline stuff, but nothing major. I appreciated the feedback and the negative feedback as well, right? As when it's done respectful, when it's done, with people caring. I think, sometimes as humans, it's human nature to want to associate yourself with people who tell you the things that you want to hear instead of the things that you need to hear. So this happens a lot online and in the communities, and sometimes people just, without them knowing you, they care enough to kind of let you know the areas in which you need to improve and how you can do better. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciated people disagreeing with my take, right? Because the things that I'm going to enjoy are not necessarily the same things that you're going to enjoy. Obviously, we all play Final Fantasy XIV, so that tells me that we're similar and we have similar taste in video games and in stories and things like that. But how that gets constructed, we can have disagreements and be okay. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So thoughts on the MSQ overall? Fantastic. I have no major complaints about the storyline. I thought it was delivered really well. I thought it was challenging getting into Dawntrail, especially coming from the end of Endwalker, where I thought it was the weakest MSQ since, the base 2.0 or Realm Reborn storyline. And I knew that it was going to be challenging getting into Dawntrail in a brand new expansion after you've already closed the Hydaelyn and Zodiac storylines. So I was eager to see how they were going to approach this new story, this new MSQ. Like, how quickly were they gonna? Was I going to be captivated, if I was going to be captivated at all? Like, at what point was I just going to start skipping cutscenes, right? But surprisingly enough, they caught me right away. Like, it was fantastic. So I'll get into 3 of my favorite parts of the story. Number 1, the Rite of Secession, I thought was really great, and they utilized that to kind of grab you, right? So they did the whole story with, the 4 siblings, or three siblings, and then Bakujaja just being the blessed or the exception. But I thought that was a great race, and how they approached it and how they managed it throughout. You know, the someone taking the lead, and then another one taking the lead, and then someone getting, Wuglamat getting kidnapped and everything like that. So they did a really good job, and then showing you the different areas and the different cultures through Wuglamat as she, in her quest to win the Right of Succession. I also like the way in which Galu Jaja presented it. And I don't know if he told this to the contestants, but I think he told the Warrior of Light at some point about, hey, if at the end of this Right of Succession, whoever wins, if I'm not impressed, or I don't feel like the person has really taken away what I want them to take away, then I'll say, okay, you guys are not ready, and I'll continue to be in charge. Which I thought it was, it's definitely great, I think, to highlight. So my second favorite aspect of the storyline, or that I really liked, was the whole entire thing with Krau's parents. I thought that was greatly delivered, right? Like from the beginning, it was okay. So Krau was kind of along for the ride, just to see if she could learn anything about her grandfather and the earring that she had. And then for her to actually have this amazing discovery at the end of her parents and her being from Alexandria, all of that I thought was perfectly delivered. Maybe my overall favorite part of the entire Dawntrail storyline. I thought it was the whole situation with Krau's parents, their situation, how they explain everything in the end. The way that it was revealed. We'll talk about my favorite reveals as well, some of the reveals in the storyline, but I kind of already spoiled that with this one. But yeah, I thought everything within the Krau's parents storyline was it was amazing, A+. Then my third favorite thing was the Final Fantasy IX connection. As soon as you get to I think it was Heritage Found is the area. I thought that was, it was super cool as you start to see the different, like Final Fantasy IX areas and the music from Final Fantasy IX, and even Queen's theme somewhat related, Otis related to the Knights, a lot of different connections to Final Fantasy IX, which is one of the most beloved games in the series. And maybe it gives a little bit of a explanation as to the tone of this expansion, because Final Fantasy IX, like if you were to compare Final Fantasy IX to 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, which tend to be the pinnacle Final Fantasy games, the 5 best Final Fantasy games that people tend to relish and enjoy. Final Fantasy IX is the more childish of the 5, right? So it maybe there is something about, okay, the tone of 9 is this way, so maybe the tone of Dawntrail has to kind of follow along with 9. So maybe, I don't know, that's the only explanation as to why some of the writing was childish in nature, and we'll get into that. That's another part that I want to get into. So those are my 3 favorite parts. Now the reveals. So I want to talk about 3 of the reveals. So the Sphene reveal, the Kashua reveal, who's Erenville's mom, and then the Krau parents reveal, which I kind of already got into, so that will be quickly. The Sphene reveal, as far as, first you get to meet her, and then you find out that she's an Endless. I'm glad that necessarily wasn't the big reveal. The big reveal with Sphene, and I thought it was really well delivered. It was, when we found out that she actually wants to destroy our world and save hers. And at the end, right, because everyone's hey, you want to save your people? Let's just kill, Zoraija, who's actually influencing you in the wrong way or holding you hostage in some way. But then to find out that she's the one actually, pressing for the destruction of our world. So it was revealed at the end. I don't know if most people could have guessed that, right? I think that was a surprise. That was a shock to some of us. I think I was sus, and I think everybody was suspicious at the beginning of Sphene, right? They kept saying, I don't know, for now she's nice, but I don't know, right? So they're kind of already giving you some hints that something ain't right here, right? Or something isn't right. And then I want to talk about Kashua's reveal, because I think, and this is Erenville's mom, and I don't think I'm pronouncing it right, but Kashua. I thought they missed the mark with Kashua's reveal, and in her whole story. Right, this one didn't hit as much, I think, or as well as the Fiend reveal and Crow Parents reveal, because from the beginning that you meet, you start to get hints that she's not alive, and then she's using this robot. But at the beginning, they're telling you that she's controlling this robot from somewhere else, meaning that there's a potential that she could be alive. But then quickly, as we discover everything about the Endless, they instantly make the connection, through the story. Yeah, you can tell as you're going through it that, and hinting that she's an Endless, right? So then at the end, when you actually find out for real, when you arrive at the last zone at Alexandria, that okay, yeah, she's an Endless the whole time. But I thought maybe hide that a little bit more, or surprise us, shock us, and giving us hints that she's an Endless, and then Erenville being upset the whole entire time, and then at the end she's actually alive, right? Like, she's in Alexandria, but she's one of the living. That would have been a shock. But then at the end, you just say, okay, you're just confirming what you already said. I just thought that information was provided and given a little bit too early, so it didn't have that shock, maybe that it should have, or maybe that they were intending, because they put a lot of focus of that in that zone or in that area. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about is writing examples, and I want to give some, because that was one of my complaints, is definitely the writing needs to be improved overall. Although I think the story was great and a lot of different aspects that we covered, the writing was, it lacked in certain areas. So I'll provide some examples, and it seems like the writer for Dawntrail, their lead writer, is Daichi Hiroi. Daichi Hiroi appears to be now the lead writer. He had taken over for Ishikawa. And I tried to find other things that he had written. There's not a lot there that I could find that he had done, other than he had written some quest lines before. I guess in Endwalker and Shadowbringers. But now he's the lead writer. I don't know much about him, but I am hoping that he can improve the writing. So anyways, I'll cover some. This is not everything, right? Of course you're gonna say, oh, he's pointing to one or two examples, of course, whatever. No, but I can actually go through this whole thing and pick out a ton more. This is just, don't have all the time in the world. I work a lot, and here is what I could find. So this in particular, this was Wuglomat, and most of the examples that I'm gonna give of poor writing and delivery is they all have to do with Wuglomat. And this was just when she confronted Soralja, one of, I think, level 99 quests. So she says, so it was all just a lie then, what you said about loving your people as family, about wanting to see them smile. Like, who talks this way in this setting? You know what I mean? Like, it just it's, you can tell. I mean, this, and I'm showing, this was my face exactly whenever I was reading and whenever I confronted this part. It's just like, it's just cringe. Like, this type of writing, and when I see this, it makes me feel like this is not for me, and maybe I should not be, like, maybe rethinking my entire life as to why I'm consuming this, this video game, because I can't get, but I just don't know who at what age is gonna be like, oh yeah, like, this just doesn't make sense. So maybe there was, I don't know where Koji is. Koji is typically, like, responsible for some of the Japanese to English translation. Maybe it wasn't this cringe in Japanese, although there also appears to be some concerns about the writing, especially the character of Wuglomat in Japan. So there is, and here's a tweet from Yeah. Here's a tweet from Audrey. She covers Square Enix, Final Fantasy, and a bunch of video games in Japan. And here in this tweet, she mentions that seems like a chunk of the JP Final Fantasy XIV fandom also dislikes the writing for Wook Lamont and her character as well. And that's the reason why the game has mixed reviews. So this isn't just an English, maybe there was something lost in translation thing. It seems like the Japanese community is also complaining about the writing of Wook Lamont overall. So I mean, this example here, maybe I'm taking it too much, or like who cares, but I just it's just unnecessary. And why are we doing this? I really don't know what they were trying to do with this character. I don't know, because they definitely missed the mark, right? Or maybe for some it didn't miss the mark. Some people are like, oh, she's great, I love her, which yes, she's great, like as a character, as a person, like this is a caring person who's not going to harm you, who cares about people, about family, about friends, and all loving and all everything good. But what were they trying to accomplish? Were they thinking that everyone was just gonna love her? So here's another one. As long as you think of only yourself, here we go. It's just stating the obvious. As long as you think of only yourself, you'll never be worthy. So I think instead of this being like just spoken out loud like that, this is something that I think the audience should just make the connection to, right? So I think this is insulting when you share this level of detail in dialogue. I feel like you tend to insult the intelligence of the audience. Like the audience can reach this conclusion, right? That's just let the audience think that. But don't say it out loud like that. It's just, as long as you only think of yourself, you'll never be worthy. We're tracking. We got it. You know what I mean? And then you'll never surpass Father or me. Is that not necessary? Is that even? And that's also disconnected from Zaraoja's purpose. Like, when did he say that he wanted to surpass Garou Jaja or Wook Lamont? Like, he has a whole different purpose on how to reach peace, right? I'm gonna give so much, I'm gonna bring about so much chaos and destruction that peace is gonna be even more everlasting, because that's what people are gonna remember, how terrible it was. That's why I like the character of Saruja. That's why I like the character of Saruja, because there is a purpose driven by the things that he's setting out to do, even though they're terrible, and you know what I mean. You have to disagree. I'm not saying that I agree. Yeah, let's do that. What I'm saying is he's driven by a certain purpose, and this is not even hitting at the purpose, right? You surpass. Like, what are you saying? Like, and of course, then the line from Saruja is kind of like responding to this. Although I'm like, to me, it's like you don't even know what. Anyways, I'll digress with this, but this is just bad. Anyway, so those are two examples just from that encounter, but there's a lot sprinkled throughout, and especially mostly in regards to Wook Lamont. And then the comments, so let's get into some of these comments. You guys are hilarious. And awesome, by the way. Appreciate you guys. This was really, I didn't think it was gonna be like this. I really didn't. Maybe it will take a turn on the next one, who knows. But I enjoyed it. I want to start with this one. I think this was great. My question of who is Final Fantasy XIV writing for, and then the response that I get from Couch Buddha 420, your mom. Classic. It's awesome. Of course, you gotta have a troll or two. So this comment from Ravioli Jesus 6181, the entire MSQ felt like a Disney Channel movie. It was that bad, especially that weird music number at the end. Shit was Final Fantasy Camp Rock edition, and it was just ass. The voice acting was also so cheesy from Wook Lamont. It took me out of being immersed, and I can understand where he's coming from. I do want to challenge the Disney movie thing, because I know I've seen some comments mention Disney. But Disney. I mean, I don't know what Disney has become nowadays. I don't have kids, and I don't watch Disney regularly. But I remember growing up, like The Lion King and Aladdin, and a bunch of these different movies that were tailored for kids. I don't for kids. I don't remember them being this bad as as childish as Wook Lamont was. Like even The Lion King, right? Simba goes through some shit, and has to learn some hard lessons, right? And he's got the uncle Scar kind of like terrorizing the dude. So even with movies like that, it wasn't this bad. At least I don't remember it being this bad. So I do think that the Wook Lamont emphasis was below the Disney standard as far as who they were. I don't know who they were trying to reach. I'm really so confused with this Wook Lamont, how they approached it and how they blessed it, right? How was Yoshi P like, oh yeah, this is good? Or how was Koji like, yeah, this is good? I don't know. So that remains to be a mystery. I don't know what happened here. But to compare it to Disney, I think is kind of like a shot at Disney that they don't deserve, at least not historically, but I don't know what the new Disney looks like. And then, of course, this comment said the story was so great it made me skip the dialogue, so the writing was just perfect. Oh man, of course. And then, of course, yeah, here we go with near as I can tell, as far as who they're writing for or writing to. Disney's 6 or 7 remaining fans, because it sure as hell isn't geared toward their usual audience, right? Their usual audience, and as I mentioned before in the previous video, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, Endwalker had a more serious tone, right? Like, and it didn't seem to be geared for kids at all. And with characters like Emmett Selk and Hermes and all of these different characters, they were more complex characters, and the writing was fitting to them. And even Heideling and Zodiac, all of that, the Ashians, was great. Oh, okay, so this is a nice comment from someone from France, Emily May, and I really do appreciate this comment. A lot of what they were saying as far as the audience and the writing as well. She had a suggestion about putting my YouTube comment for this video on full verification before publishing to avoid problems or hesitating to ban aggressive people. I want to leave it. I don't want to stop anyone from leaving comments, without any sort of censorship. So please just continue to just let it fly, whatever it is. It's all good. It's okay. And this comment actually made me laugh out loud. So this is Red Theory 038. There is no reason to ever cater the game to an audience of children, as the average age of the MMO gamer is between 30 and 40. So from a business perspective, also, it makes no sense to cater to an audience that cannot regularly pay for their sub. I agree, right? You have to pay for a cup. These kids don't have credit cards. Like if you're, if you're an 8-year-old whose parents gotta look at a, MMO subscription bill every single month, I don't think so, right? So why are we putting the bar so low to try to target 7-8-year-olds who have to ask their parents for permission to have a subscription because they don't have a credit card? I actually think this is a really good point with the subscription piece. And then this one, this is a perfect example of the feedback that I'm looking for. He said, Kalios, I think, said, dude, your background music is so annoying. Would have been better to listen to without it at full volume, just playing over your voice. And I attempted to do this, but then I noticed that it peaked, it spiked in the middle of what I was saying, but I caught it after the video had already been published on YouTube. And then I could have deleted it and then gone back to Premiere Pro and made the necessary edits and then export it all again. But that was just going to take two. I just left it. And, my initial thought was no one's going to, like I said before, no one is going to see this video. No one's going to pay attention. No one's going to care. So I'm not going to go through all that work to have no one watch the video, and then of course a lot of people do watch it. That's just how it tends to happen. I can guarantee you that had I deleted the video, gone back to edit it in Premiere Pro and spend another 2-3 hours or 4 hours editing just that piece of it, you know, in addition to the time that it takes to export it and re-upload it to YouTube, if I would have done that, I'm pretty sure that no one would have watched it after that. It would have had 3 views and no comment. It's just how shit works. It's just how life works, man. That's just what it is. And this one is an interesting comment, right? This one said from player 454, he said, it sounds like you're very afraid of incurring the wrath of the series' toxic fans. Now, I'll address that line because we become fans of something. And I think fandom of anything, you know, to the extreme levels, whether it's religious or whether it's political parties or whatever it is, those things are unhealthy. It's unhealthy for many different reasons, right? Because it prevents you from really thinking about the issues independently without, you know, like you're such a fan that you don't want, you defend bad points, right? You defend the undefendable just because you've become a fan, right? So no one can make anything, you know, have any complaints. No one can say anything negative because now you're just hating, and now you're hated, and now you're being canceled. And that is that's not healthy for discussion, for improvement. I think that feedback, as long as feedback is given in a professional and in a respectful way, I think it should be taken into consideration. I also think that, of course, as we all enjoy this game and we love this game, we want to continue to love this game. So, you know, providing that feedback to the developers is important, because if you continue to say, no, this, even though it's bad, but you're saying, no, it's great, I loved every aspect of it, then they won't improve. And now they'll let their guard down. Oh, I'm great no matter what I do, so I'm just gonna put trash out there. And I think Asmongold was fighting this very issue with World of Warcraft, right? Those fans were so hardcore that any negative thing that came to the game, and they're like, oh no, you're a hater, you know, this person just doesn't like WoW, they're just complaining to complain, everything's great. And the fact is, it isn't. And I think it's also important for the developers to know that we're paying attention, and that we will hold them accountable to a quality product that we've that we've come to expect. So I think, you know, incurring the wrath of the series' toxic fans, well, it is what it is. You know, if that's what happens, if I'm deemed a problem, and I'm new, right? I'm brand new. I've just landed in this scene. I'm not new in playing the game, but I'm new in creating content for Final Fantasy XIV. But I just want to come from a good perspective, you know, I'm coming from a good place to provide some feedback in this game that I enjoy and I love, but I want to make sure that it continues to either to get better, but definitely not get worse. And I do feel like in some aspects, Dawntrail was worse than Shadowbringers, than Heavensward, than Stormblood in some aspects, right? You know, and we'll talk about the other aspects too, as far as the dungeons, the trials. I'm gonna do reviews for the dungeons, for the trials, for everything like that at a later time. So in a lot of that, it's really positive feedback. But anyways, that is the video for today. Again, I want to thank everyone for watching, for leaving comments. Like I said, I'm gonna be continuing to do more content both in English and in Spanish. So be on the lookout for those to see if you're enjoying this content and you want to continue to see, then yeah, well, more content is coming for sure. And again, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. If you have any other thoughts about the things that we covered, make sure to leave comments. If there's something that went wrong with the video that you didn't like, that I could do better, please leave it in the comments as well. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.